Thank you.
Hello world, I'm Chris Perillo, and this is a live unboxing on YouTube. You should have received the free push notification on your iOS or Android device with the free Locker Gnome app. That's how you stay up to date with the things that I'm doing every day. I do everything. Well, I don't do everything every day. I know it may seem like I do everything every day, but I don't. It's a free Locker Gnome app. It's available right now. Download it to stay up to date with most of what we're doing. I actually posted earlier on Facebook and Twitter and Google Plus that I was doing 3 live streams today, including the live iPad Air unboxing. I almost called it the Unair. I guess the other iPad would be the Unair. The original iPad is very Unair-like. I have not touched an iPad Air yet. This will be really a first. Let me go ahead and sip some of my unboxing juice directly out of Boba Fett's head. It's no good to me, Air. Because I kind of look like Boba Fett. Hey, look at that! Yeah? The push notification. You tap it, and it will open up this video right away. So hopefully, this stream will go off without a hitch. If you notice any hiccups, well, hopefully we can move past them quickly. I wanted to let you know that we are going to be doing a Apple gift card valued at $300 giveaway, thanks to one of our sponsors, Citrix. I'll explain that in a second. I also posted information about that on Facebook and Google Plus earlier today, so don't ever say that I never try to do things for you or that the sponsors are not supportive of the things that you want, because I'd imagine if you're watching this video, you want an iPad Air. Now, if you've never seen a classic Chris Perillo unboxing, you know they are long-winded. Did you know, however, that my iPad has my name on it? Not engraved. I ordered it online last night. Didn't take anything at all. I'm just done. This is my first 128 gig iPad, by the way. I realize it's very bright, but 128 gigs right there, just a Wi-Fi iPad. I may go with a data version, or I guess a 4G or a data version of the iPad mini, which I do plan on getting the new version of soon. And of course, we'll be doing all the comparisons as well. In fact, the next live video I'm doing in about an hour's time is going to be initial impressions of the iPad Air. But this is the unboxing. So we're going to remove the cellophane. It's gone. And let's pray for a box fart. No, just a thud. If you hear anything in the background, that's the fans. Not you fans, necessarily, but I do appreciate your support. All the comments, likes, shares, and of course, your subscription to this channel. There it is! The iPad Air, which pretty much looks like a big iPad mini. I mean, certainly the bezel is pretty much just like an iPad mini. This is not going to be a comparison video. However, it's just an unboxing. And I'm going to go ahead and answer questions from you, the community, as well. So feel free to ask them if you're watching live, and I will address as many as I possibly can. In the rest of the box, we have the Designed by Apple in California packet with information about how to use the iPad Air, some legalese, and then the Apple stickers, which I still have no idea what I'm going to do with. What do you do with the Apple stickers? Do you do anything? I just throw them back in the box. I don't do anything with them. Lightning cable, can't have enough of these, and I will certainly put this to good use. And then what should be a 12-watt adapter. Yep, 12 watt, so it'll charge faster. If you still have the 10-watt adapter, I would recommend upgrading, if only because you can charge your devices quicker. So 12-watt USB AC adapter, but it has the ability for you to take out this particular part, your prong, so in case you're traveling or going international, you can swap it with the head that's most appropriate for the outlets in that country. Then what we have in the remainder of the box is a little bit of plastic there. That's it. Really, in an unboxing, there's not much to see. I'm going to go ahead and see if we've got any questions, though. It's choppy. That's not really a question, but if you're having issues with that, hopefully that will be cleared up by the time this is fully encoded. How light does it feel, asks Always a Redman UTD. Again, I hesitate. I'm not going to do a comparison. I'll be doing other videos about the iPad Air in the future. Certainly after I've had time to use it, but it's light. It really is light. Not as light as a mini, but certainly lighter than previous iPads, like standard iPads. pretty light. Someone else asked, do you really need 128 gigs? Well, do we really need anything after? Did I really need an iPad? The answer is yes, by the way. I do. I did, and I will. Will need an iPad forevermore. Just assume this. It's just the way I am when it comes to certain kinds of gadgets. The reason I went with 128 is because I download apps voraciously and had begun to do more video on the iPad, specifically when I was looking to do stop motion builds for the brick builds that I like doing in the channel with Lego sets, and have used the iPad in a certain configuration, and it works out exceedingly well. However, it takes up a lot of space, and I found myself limited even at 64 gigs, given that I am an absolute app addict. Are you going to set it up? Asks William Rose. I am going to set it up, but not in this video. It would be kind of boring to see Chris Perlow set up his iPad. You guys wouldn't want to see that, would you? I'm sure some of you would, and I hate to deny you. I don't want to. If you feel that way, it's great. I just don't feel that would be a very good use of your time. How does it compare to the iPad 3? Spec-wise, faster across the board, lighter, thinner. This is, for all intents and purposes, an iPad mini that's bigger. And in fact, if you're having a difficult time deciding whether you want the new iPad mini or the iPad Air, which is pretty much the new iPad, here's the difference. The iPad Air has a larger screen size. It's also $100 more in configurations. So, really, I'm expecting Apple to sell more iPad minis than iPad Airs. I'm going to go on record by saying that, if only because it's cheaper, and it's pretty much, it's the same device, it's just got a smaller screen, which for most people is fine. Now, the question is, should you upgrade your iPad mini? I'm not going to say it's a big win. I'm not going to recommend that outright. If only because you got to think about what you use it for. Do you watch videos? Do you do email and light web browsing? You know, maybe view a couple of apps. Is it really worth the upgrade if you already have the Air? Or I'm sorry, if you already have the Mini? I don't know. I don't know if it's a big, compelling reason to upgrade. I mean, you might be able to sell the device, and if you sell your old Mini and get the new Mini, this is not a Mini, this is the Air again. But I'm trying to talk around these points because I know a lot of people are wondering, what should I get? Should I get the iPad Air or the iPad Mini? And I may actually do a separate video on that now that I think about it, just because people might be searching for those questions. And I'll do it in a Versus video that I'm now recording on my webcam every week. You guys like the Versus series? I hope you do. Do you intend on jailbreaking your iDevices once the jailbreak is released? Absolutely not. It's just not my thing. If it's your thing, hey, good on you. How much did you pay for it? Probably too much, but I have also sold one of my iPad minis, a couple of old phones, and my standard iPad. And although I'll keep it for long enough to... What the hell is that? You see that? There's like a big floaty... Do you guys see that? It's a floating thread that I caught in midair. I sell my old devices to get new devices. I don't just, stockpile them. So I'm a big fan of turnover, and that's really what I did to be able to afford this new iPad, which is the iPad Air. Does the bezel fit more comfortably in your hand? I don't know about that. I mean, they've made optimizations to iOS over the past few years. It was in iOS 6, actually, where the operating system could detect accidental touches. So if I'm holding on to... okay, this isn't booted up yet. All right, hang on, guys. I know you probably want the boot up here. And I don't want to spend too much time doing this, if only because I know you want me to move on with my life and you want to move on with your life. But why do they still sell the iPad 2 as I wait to boot up here? The reason why is because people are still buying it. And the only reason I can think of people still wanting to buy the iPad 2 is because they have 30-pin connectors. They don't want to upgrade to Lightning, or they have all these legacy devices that are still 30-pin connector enabled, and so they don't want to upgrade to the newest hardware. And I think that's, if I was to guess as to why they're still selling, that is probably the biggest reason why. So give me a second. I'm going to go ahead and log into my wireless network, if I can remember. And I hate typing in passwords when I set up devices. It does make it easier, when you get things going. But I'm going to go ahead and boot her up for the first time, too. Do you think there will be an iPad Mini Air at some point? Nah, this is the iPad Air. The Mini is a completely different line. I'll just set it up as a new iPad right now, because I want to restore from my other iPad as soon as I'm done with this for my initial impressions. Do I agree? Create a passcode. I don't want to add a passcode. Do I want? Am I sure? Yes. Use Siri? Absolutely. Diagnostics? I automatically send them like, hey, if it helps Apple fix a bug, awesome. You know what? Here's the thing. I've used a mini, and I've used, iPads going back to the first gen. This feels like a bigger iPad mini than it does a smaller iPad. Does that make sense? I mean, maybe it's just the way the bezel is. This is what I was going to show you guys. So I'm pinching and holding onto I've got my thumb right there, but I should, oh, hang on. Maybe not. Okay. Well, I was trying to show you that I can open up, well, okay, that's not going to work. Okay, do I have to hold it perfectly still in order to launch Safari? There we go. Apparently, you got to be careful about how you hold it. Apple, that seems to be a problem with y'all. Maybe I'm holding it wrong. Willing to concede. Let's go ahead but you can see that my thumb is kind of overlapping here. I just wanted to show you that it's at least still responsive even with my thumb going over the bezel. When you hold it the right way, quote unquote. Any other questions here? Back from the community. You guys have got some really good questions in relation to the iPad. I really appreciate that too. I even upgraded my iCloud storage because between the devices I own, I ran out of space pretty quick there. Yeah, it's another reason why I'm a big fan of going with as much space as you possibly can. In fact, I was thinking about when I was on my way to pick this up from the store, I was thinking, gosh, my first hard drive was 380 megabytes. It was small, but I mean, you had to optimize for space. It's not so much that way anymore. Hang on. Any other questions that are relevant to this? Someone says iPad Pro is coming. Well, I don't know about that. I would say that the Air is pretty much the Pro, quote unquote. It's just interesting how Apple is, taking the iPad line, and I think because of the way they're doing it, I think we're going to see a lot more minis sold compared to iPad Airs. What does it taste like? Glassy. If I was to describe, the way it really tastes. Do you think it should have come with Touch ID? Asks Adam Menel. I would have liked it to have come with Touch ID. I'm guessing that at some point in the future it will come with Touch ID, but I'm guessing that it has to do with supply chain and not having enough equipment on hand, and potentially even with price. So as that price comes down, as it becomes more available, the hardware and the equipment becomes more available, I think we'll see a Touch ID sensor in pretty much every iOS device that Apple releases, because that's what Apple does, is release iOS devices. I do really appreciate the Touch ID sensor in the iPhone 5S. In fact, it's made it very convenient to purchase things, when it's tied into your account, and of course to unlock. Instead of just sliding to unlock, I just hold and press, and then it unlocks, right, without having to remember a passcode. Absolutely genius feature. Is it worth it? I do not know yet. I may be able to surmise that and give you that opinion with an initial impressions video that I'm also going to record later today. Outright, like I said, this was the unboxing. This is an answering of a few of your questions, and I'll answer a couple more before closing this video out. I hesitate to give the opinion of is it worth it until I've actually had a chance to use it. Anybody who buys something and tells you right away it was absolutely worth it, unless it changed their lives dramatically, and this did not for me. Been using iPad since the first version. You got to take your time. You got to experience, get your hands dirty, even though my hands are pretty clean. Will this iPad be your what's on my iPad this Christmas? Probably, if only because it's a bigger screen and it's easier to demonstrate on video live. Is it 64-bit or 32-bit? It's 64-bit. It's on the A7 processor, just like what is inside Apple's iPhone 5S. Other than they clocked it a bit higher. The CPU's clocked at a higher speed on the iPad Air compared to the iPhone 5S, though it is the same processor. Chris, do you expect to have iPad ARM anytime soon? An iPad ARM? I'm not sure I understand that question. Where does it fall against other tablets? It's an iOS tablet. It doesn't really fall against anything other than an iPad mini. Compare this to an iPad mini and it's fair. You can compare it to use models, but here's the thing. You want to browse the web, check email, play Angry Birds, you can do that on any platform. And so you have to ask yourself questions beyond the actual device itself. What other devices do you have in your world? I use OS X. I also use Windows and sometimes Linux, although not as much as I do OS X and Windows. So I use Messages. and it's easier and it integrates with my life that way more. Or I also have an Apple TV, so using AirPlay, you know, from anywhere is great. I love AirPlay. Love, 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 love AirPlay. You don't believe me? Here, let me show you. Watch, it's going to make a liar out of me. I have no idea what is on my screen back here right now, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to use AirPlay mirroring on my Mac. I'm mirroring right now. So what you see on the screen is basically what I'm doing here. You can see it live in real time. Isn't that great? I love it. So if I wanted to browse the web from my lap without going and sitting that close to the big screen, I could. And I love AirPlay. And the fact that it works and it's seamless with, you know, what I use here, I appreciate the integration. I appreciate the way it works, how it works. I'm browsing lockergnome.com. There's the front video for YouTube, but you can see how responsive it is. It just works. You know, I'm on a local network. Hey, look at that. Any Game of Thrones fans? Have you guys been watching lockergnome.com lately? We're posting all sorts of awesome geeky collectibles, including bacon bandages. Bring breakfast to boo-boos. You want bacon band-aids? We know where you can get them. Right there. Awesome. That is where it's valuable to have devices that interoperate with one another. So I want you guys to just understand this more than anything. When you talk about these experiences, you have to talk about them within a range of experiences. You can't do that with every tablet that's out there. You can do it with an iOS device in relation to AirPlay. And there are other kind of technologies that work, but they're kind of hacky and they don't work as well. That works well. I love things that work well. All right. Hopefully I addressed that question as best I could. Does iOS 7 look better on a bigger screen? Some people don't like it. I don't mind it. I really don't. I love the screen, though. I always have. The Retina display is beautiful. Beautiful. I'm still mirroring the device, by the way. Just put it down. Oh, did Wicket take off his Yoda costume?
Yeah, he can go potty.
Okay. Oh, I'm glad you took it off, because I didn't want him to go potty on it.
Yeah, me too.
All right, a couple more questions, and then we'll close it out for now, so I can do my initial impressions video live on YouTube in this very channel, by the way. Thanks again for liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing these videos. Is the bezel too narrow to hold? I don't feel that. Like I said, I was trying to demonstrate, you know, by pushing down with my thumb here, and I think inadvertently capturing parts of the screen that I didn't want to capture. Although that seems to be responsive, so maybe I'm holding it the right way. Holding it in a natural way seems to work. Can you see a lot of current Mini owners going with the Air now instead of the Retina Mini, asks Roby Swan. Depends on budget and depends on what they value. Do they value a larger screen or do they value a smaller device? They're trade-offs. You know, what's the best of both worlds? I don't know. Just depends. What do you want more? Everyone's going to have a different answer to that question. The nice thing is, Apple says, buy both. Who am I to argue with that? I know, companies love me sometimes. Will you be using a case for it? Oh, thank you for reminding me. I almost forgot. I did buy the iPad Air Smart cover. I've been very happy with the Smart cover on my previous gen iPads, which I believe have worked from the iPad 2 going all the way up. And I'm a huge fan of no color, so I went with black. Oh, I gotta find the right side. Which side is it? This is, oh yeah, there, that's the side. It reminds me a lot of the iPad mini cover in terms of feel, responsiveness, in terms of how it folds back, etc. You know, it feels like the iPad mini cover. That's strong enough. I mean, the magnet's holding that in place right now. Flip it over. It locks. Seems to be flush, or at least flat, on the surface of the iPad. I expect that this is going to get scuffed up over time, which kind of goes without saying. My first one, which is still in good condition, still scraped up. It's leather. And I think it's got some marks and scuffs of where I set down cups with water, you know, condensation. One more question, and then we will close this out because, again, I do want to get moving with my evening and weekend. Went to bed at 5 a.m., was up at 10 a.m., so I'm going on a 5-hour sleep. A little tired. Gosh, you're asking good questions, but questions that I've already answered before. Alex, we'll close out with your question. Hostetler, will it crack easier than the iPad 4? I don't know. Possibly just the same. I mean, it's the material closer to, and the feel closer to the iPad mini. It feels great. It feels better in my hand than the previous gen standard iPad. I'm talking about iPad Air versus standard iPad before. It feels much nicer in my hand. I don't know about durability though, and I will not check will it blend, even though I do have a BlendTec blender downstairs. Did you get the iLife apps? I've had the iLife apps. I bought them like as soon as they were released. They were cheap, $5, $10. That's nothing. No back protection. Did not want it. I realized I said that I was going to close it out after that question, oh, here, I'll leave it here. Have you ordered your Nexus 5? Dude, I just did a live video in this channel unboxing and giving you my initial impressions of the Nexus 5. Right here. Then I was holding the Nexus 5. I'd like, answer the question, man. I got you covered. Don't worry about it, man. Or woman, I really don't know, and I don't care. I love you all the same. So thank you. Again, if you are paying attention to what's going on, I will be doing a live initial impressions, answering more of your questions about the iPad, likely talking about my experiences over the brief period of time I'll have a chance to use it, and give you my gut check, or give you my gut check. I'll do a gut check and tell you what my gut feels. I'm a little nauseous right now. I don't know, it could be the wine. I'm sorry. Unboxing juice that I'm drinking, and potentially showing you a bit of comparisons. I'll also be doing versus videos over the coming weeks, talking about this iPad versus another iPad, and we'll go from there. Thanks again for your support, and we'll you later.